Sarah Chen sat in her dark bedroom, the only light coming from her computer screen. The 16-year-old hacker was not doing her homework. Instead, she was looking at strange signals she had found 3 nights ago. These signals were unlike anything she had ever seen before. "This can't be from Earth," she whispered to herself, taking another sip of her cold coffee. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard as she tried to break the code. For 3 nights, she had barely slept, trying to understand these weird messages that her homemade satellite dish had caught. The clock showed 2:37 a.m. when something finally changed on her screen. Sarah's eyes went wide as the first images started appearing. At first, they were blurry, but then they became clear. Her coffee cup fell from her shaking hands and crashed to the floor. On her screen were pictures of children, human children. They were wearing strange metal collars and working in what looked like a factory, but everything about it was wrong. The walls were made of a strange purple metal. The machines looked like nothing from Earth, and watching over the children were tall, gray-skinned creatures that made Sarah's blood run cold. "This can't be real," she said, but her hands were already saving everything to her secure drives. More and more images came through. Children of all ages, from different countries, all wearing the same metal collars. Some were crying. Others looked empty, like they had given up hope. Sarah felt sick to her stomach, but she kept working. She had to know more. The next set of files she decoded were shipping records. Her hands shook as she read them. These weren't just random pictures. These were delivery reports. The aliens had been taking children from Earth for 50 years. Thousands of them. Every year, right under everyone's nose. She found more proof in the data. The aliens had bases hidden on Earth. They had people, human people, helping them take children. They paid them with advanced technology. Sarah's mind raced as she thought about all the missing children reports she had seen on the news. How many of them had been taken by these aliens? Sarah knew she had to tell someone, but who would believe her? She decided to post everything online, on every major website she could think of. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she prepared the files. Just as she was about to hit send, her screen went black. The room plunged into darkness. Sarah's heart stopped for a moment. Then her backup power came on, casting a red glow around her room. But her computer stayed dead. "Looking for this?" a deep voice said from behind her. Sarah spun around in her chair. 2 men in black suits stood in her doorway. One held up a small device that glowed blue. The other had Sarah's backup drives in his hand. "How did you?" Sarah started to ask, but then she saw something that made her freeze. Behind the men in the hallway was one of the gray-skinned creatures from the pictures. It was even taller in real life, at least 8 feet tall, with eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. "Sarah Chen," the first man said, "you've seen something you weren't supposed to see. Now we need to talk." Sarah looked at her window, thinking about running. The man seemed to read her mind. "Don't," he said. "We're not here to hurt you. We need your help. You've done something nobody else has managed to do. You broke their code." "Their code?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. "The Galactic Empire's transmission codes," the man said. "We've been trying to break them for years. You did it in 3 days." The alien in the hallway stepped forward, and Sarah pushed herself back against her desk. But then she saw something strange. The alien was wearing handcuffs. "This one," the second man said, pointing at the alien, "surrendered to us 2 years ago. He's been helping us, but he couldn't break their new codes. You did." Sarah looked at her computer, then at the alien, then back at the men. "The alien children trade goes much deeper than what you found," the first man said. "And we need someone who can help us stop it. Someone like you." Sarah stood up straighter. Her fear was still there, but now there was something else too. Anger, determination. If what they were saying was true, if she could help stop this. "When do we start?" she asked. The men smiled. Behind them, The alien nodded its huge head. "Right now," the first man said. "The world's about to change, Sarah, and you're going to help change it." Outside her window, the sun was starting to rise. Sarah knew that by the time it set again, nothing would ever be the same. The world changed in exactly 47 minutes. That's how long it took for Sarah Chen's discoveries to reach every phone, computer, and screen on Earth. The government agents who had come to her house hadn't stopped her from releasing the files. They had helped her do it. "The Empire needs to know that hiding is over," Agent Marcus told her as they sat in a secret underground facility. "They need to know that Earth is done being afraid." On screens around them, chaos was unfolding. Times Square in New York showed thousands of people watching the alien photos on massive billboards. In Tokyo, parents of missing children collapsed in streets, finally knowing the truth about their lost ones. In London, people were breaking into government buildings, demanding answers. But the biggest shock came from Moscow. The Russian government was the first to step forward. They broadcast a live video of their secret facility, a massive underground base where they kept 7 captured alien ships. "We've had these for 20 years, a Russian general announced to the world. "We could never make them work. Now we know why. They need something we didn't have. They need the biological signature of their child slaves to power up." Sarah felt sick as she watched more governments come forward. China revealed they had alien weapons. Brazil showed proof of underwater alien bases near their coast. Each country had a piece of the puzzle, but none had the full picture. Then the captured alien, who called himself Zex 427, stepped forward to speak to the world. "Your governments are not your enemies." His translator device buzzed. They were powerless. The Empire threatened to destroy Earth if anyone exposed the truth. But now, he pointed his long gray finger at Sarah. "This young one has given us a chance. She found what we all missed." Sarah pulled up her computer files, hands shaking as she showed what she had discovered in the coded transmissions. The Empire wasn't just stealing children. They were using them as living batteries. Human children had special brainwave patterns that the Empire's machines could convert into energy. "But that's not all," Sarah said, her voice stronger now. "Show them, Zex. Show them what really happens on Earth's moon." The alien pressed a button on his wrist device. Every screen in the facility suddenly showed the dark side of the moon. There, hidden from Earth's view, was a massive city, a slave city. Thousands of human children working in giant energy factories. "They're right there," Sarah whispered. "They've been there all along, just watching us, laughing at us." The room erupted in shouts and cries. Military generals rushed to make calls. Politicians demanded immediate action. But then something happened that no one expected. The children in the moon base started fighting back. Security cameras showed kids of all ages suddenly stopping their work. They had seen the broadcasts from Earth. They knew help was finally coming. The alien guards rushed to control them, but they couldn't stop what was happening. A 12-year-old boy named Miguel, who had been taken from Mexico 3 years ago, figured out how to remove his slave collar. He showed others. Soon, hundreds of children were free, using their small size to hide in maintenance tunnels and sabotage machines. "The Empire made a mistake," Zex 427 said, watching the chaos unfold. "They thought human children were weak. They never understood that Earth's young ones are the most dangerous when protecting each other." But then the screens went dark. When they came back on, everyone froze in horror. The Supreme Commander of the Galactic Empire himself was broadcasting. His massive gray-scaled face filled every screen on Earth. Behind him stood rows of armed ships, more than anyone had ever seen. "Humans," his voice boomed in all languages at once. "You dare to challenge us. You dare to interrupt our holy harvest." He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Perhaps it is time we stop being gentle. Perhaps it is time we showed you what happens to worlds that defy the Empire." Sarah stood up, her hands clenched into fists. She looked at the alien ships on the screens, then at her computer, then at Zex 427. A plan was forming in her mind. "They don't know," she said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. "Don't know what?" Agent Marcus asked. Sarah smiled, the same smile she had when she first broke their codes. "They don't know that while they were busy watching our children, I was busy downloading everything. Their ship designs, their weapon codes, their battle plans, everything." The Supreme Commander was still talking, threatening Earth with destruction. But now Sarah wasn't afraid. She looked at the military generals in the room. "We have 3 hours before their ships get here," she said. "Want to help me show the Empire why you should never, ever mess with Earth's children?" The room erupted in cheers. Around the world, military bases sprang into action. Parents of missing children volunteered by the thousands. And in the moon base, the children kept fighting, knowing that this time, Earth was fighting back too. The war for Earth's children was about to begin. 3 hours wasn't much time to prepare for an alien invasion. But Earth had something the Empire didn't expect: desperation, determination, and Sarah Chin's stolen data. Inside the mountain base in Colorado, Sarah worked with scientists from 30 countries. Her young fingers flew across holographic keyboards as she explained the Empire's technology. "Their ships aren't just powered by children's brainwaves," she said, pulling up complex diagrams. "They're controlled by them. Every Empire ship needs at least 10 human children to run. That's their weakness." Dr. Patel, India's top scientist, suddenly jumped from his chair. "Show me those engine designs again," he said, his eyes wide with excitement. "Sarah, you're brilliant. Don't you see? We can reverse it." On the massive screens around them, the moon base situation was getting worse. The freed children were trapped in the lower levels. Empire guards were closing in. They had maybe an hour before all was lost. But Sarah was smiling. "That's exactly what I thought," she said, bringing up more stolen files. "Their ships need children's brainwaves, but Earth has something even stronger: parents' love." The room went quiet as Sarah revealed her plan. It was crazy. It was impossible. It was their only hope. Meanwhile, in secret bases around the world, engineers were already building what Sarah called love engines. They took the Empire's technology and reversed it. Instead of using children's brainwaves for power, these engines would use the emotional energy of parents, specifically parents of stolen children. "Emotions are just energy," Zex 427 explained, helping connect human volunteers to the first prototype. "The Empire uses fear from children, but parental love, it's 1,000 times stronger." In orbit, the Empire's fleet was getting closer. 10,000 ships, each carrying enslaved children as their power source. The Supreme Commander's face appeared on screens again. "Your pathetic attempts at resistance amuse us," he sneered. "Surrender now, and we will make your children's slavery quick and painless." But he didn't know what was happening in an underground hangar in the Sahara Desert. Maria Torres stood in front of humanity's first real spaceship. It was built from a combination of captured alien tech and Earth engineering. Its hull was covered in symbols, thousands of names, written by parents of missing children. Her own daughter's name, Isabella, was among them. "The Empire thinks they understand power," she said, putting on her pilot suit. "They don't know what a mother would do for her child." Around the world, similar ships were ready, each powered by parents, grandparents, brothers, and sisters, all connected to engines that turned their love and rage into pure energy. Energy stronger than anything the Empire had ever seen. But the real surprise came from the children on the moon base. Miguel, the boy who started the rebellion, had discovered something in the maintenance tunnels, something the Empire had hidden there centuries ago. Ancient machines, left by a civilization even older than the Empire. And thanks to Sarah's decoded files, they knew how to use them. "They're called the Star Forge," Sarah explained, reading from decoded texts. "The Empire didn't build them. They found them. and they've been afraid of them ever since. In the tunnels of the moon base, Miguel and the other children worked quickly. They didn't need to understand the ancient machines. They just needed to believe. And if there was one thing Earth's children were good at, it was believing in impossible things. The Supreme Commander was about to give the order to attack when every scanner in his fleet went crazy. Energy readings were coming from Earth, readings that should have been impossible. And from the moon base, something even stranger was happening. The ancient Star Forge was awakening. Sarah watched from the command center as everything came together. Parent-powered ships rising from hidden bases around the world. The moon base glowing with power as children activated machines older than humanity itself. And in orbit, the Empire fleet suddenly not looking so confident. "They took our children," she said, watching the first battles begin in Earth's orbit. "They thought they could use them as batteries. They never understood that love isn't just an emotion." She looked at the screens showing parents piloting impossible ships, children wielding ancient powers, and the Empire fleet facing something they had never expected, a planet that had finally had enough. "Love," Sarah said as the battle began, "is the strongest force in the universe." The Supreme Commander was about to learn that the hard way. The war for Earth's children wasn't just beginning. It was about to change everything they thought they knew about power. And somewhere in the moon base, ancient machines hummed to life, ready to show the universe what happens when you mess with Earth's families. Space lit up like 1,000 suns as Earth launched its first attack against the Empire. The parent-powered ships glowed with bright blue energy, while the Empire's vessels pulsed an angry red. Between them, the moon shone with the ancient golden light of the Star Forge. Maria Torres led the first wave of Earth's ships. Her vessel, powered by her love for Isabella, cut through space like a comet. The Empire's front line opened fire, but something incredible happened. The energy weapons meant to destroy Earth's ships were instead absorbed by the love-powered shields. "Impossible," the Supreme Commander's voice boomed across all channels. "Their primitive ships should be dust." Sarah Chen, watching from Earth's command center, allowed herself a small smile. "You know what's funny?" she said to Agent Marcus. "They're so advanced, but they never learn the most basic lesson of Earth. Never get between a parent and their child." In the moon base, Miguel and the other children had turned the ancient Star Forge into something the Empire never imagined. The golden machines didn't just power weapons. They could hear the children's thoughts, respond to their wishes. When Miguel thought about helping Earth's ships, golden bridges of light appeared in space, creating safe paths through the battle. But the Empire had one last cruel trick. The Supreme Commander pressed a button, and all the slave collars on children in his ships began to glow. "Attack now," he ordered, "and your precious children die." "Their slave collars will." He never finished. Because at that exact moment, every single slave collar in the Empire's fleet fell apart. They simply dissolved into dust. On the command screen, Sarah held up a small device. "Did you really think I only stole your military secrets?" she asked the stunned Supreme Commander. "I found the collars' shutdown code 3 days ago. I was just waiting for you to try using them." The battle turned into chaos. Inside the Empire's ships, thousands of freed children began fighting back. The alien crews found themselves dealing with something they'd never faced: angry human kids who had years of pain to pay back. Maria's ship led the charge toward the largest Empire vessel. As she flew, her ship's speakers picked up a sound that made her heart stop. A child's voice calling Mama. "Isabella," Maria whispered. Her emotions surged, and her ship's engines blazed brighter than ever. "Mama." "I'm in the big ship, the one with the purple stripes." Isabella's voice came through clearly now. All across the battlefield, similar scenes were playing out. Children were calling out to their parents, and the parent ships responded with incredible power. The Supreme Commander watched in horror as his fleet began to fall apart. But he had one more weapon: a massive planet killer cannon, powered by the combined fear of thousands of enslaved children. But now those children were free, and in their place, he felt something new, something terrifying. Hope. The star forge on the moon pulsed with golden light as Miguel and the other children joined hands. They didn't know how they knew what to do. They just knew. The ancient machines hummed with power as thousands of young voices raised together in a song of freedom. Sarah watched in amazement as golden lines of energy began connecting Earth's ships, the freed children, and the star forge. It was like a giant web of light, growing stronger with each passing second. "What's happening?" Agent Marcus asked, staring at the readings. "Something beautiful," Zex 427 answered, his alien eyes wide with wonder. "The Star Forge, it's not a weapon. It's a key to unlock the power that humanity had all along." The Supreme Commander raised his planet killer cannon, ready to fire his final shot. But before he could, Maria's ship broke through his defenses. Behind her came hundreds of other parents, their ships glowing with the combined power of love and the Star Forge's ancient energy. "This is for every child you ever stole," Maria said, as Isabella and other children used their freedom to help guide the parent ships. "This is for every tear you caused, every family you broke, every hope you tried to crush." The Supreme Commander's ship disappeared in a flash of blue and gold light. Not destroyed, transformed. The Star Forge's energy had changed it into something new, something better. As the light faded, Sarah's screen showed an amazing sight. The Empire's ships were changing, their harsh red energy turning to peaceful blue. The freed children were cheering. Parents were crying with joy. And in space, the golden web of energy continued to grow. "It's not over," Sarah said, looking at new data coming in. "This was just their first fleet. The Empire has more ships coming. Many more." But now, they weren't afraid. Earth had something better than fear. They had families reunited, ancient powers awakened, and a force that the Empire could never understand. Love wasn't just powering their ships anymore. It was changing the very rules of the universe. And somewhere in the depths of space, other enslaved worlds were seeing the light of Earth's victory. The real war was just beginning. But for the first time, the Empire was the one feeling afraid. The Supreme Commander's defeat should have been a moment of pure victory. Instead, it revealed a truth that shook Earth to its core. He had been holding back. Sarah Chen discovered it in a hidden file that unlocked after the Commander's ship transformed. The images made her blood freeze. Massive Empire armadas were headed to Earth, not hundreds of ships, but millions, and they carried something worse than slave collars. "They're bringing the Mind Eaters," Zex 427 said, his gray skin turning almost white with fear. "Ancient parasites that can control children's minds completely. Even the Star Forge can't break their control." In orbit, Maria Torres and the other parent pilots watched in horror as space itself seemed to tear open. Through massive purple portals, the Empire's real fleet emerged. Leading them was something that made even the bravest pilots tremble, a living ship the size of a continent, made entirely of writhing mind-eaters. But the Empire had made 3 mistakes. First, they didn't know about Jason Chen, Sarah's younger brother, who had been in a coma for 5 years. While Sarah worked with computers, Jason's sleeping mind had been touching something else, dreaming of golden machines and ancient powers. "The Star Forge isn't a machine," Jason said, speaking for the first time in 5 years as he woke in his hospital bed. "It's alive, and it's been waiting for us." The second mistake, they underestimated Miguel and the moon-based children. While the Empire prepared their attack, these kids had been learning. The Star Forge didn't just make energy. It could change reality itself. And children, with their unlimited imagination, were its perfect partners. "We don't need to fight the Mind-Eaters," Miguel said, standing with thousands of children in the Star Forge's heart. "We need to show them something better than control. We need to show them play." The third and biggest mistake, the Empire thought Earth would fight like adults. with strategy and weapons. They weren't ready for how Earth's children would fight. As the Mind Eater ship approached, Jason Chen's mind reached out through the Star Forge. Every video game he had ever played, every story he had ever read, every dream he had ever dreamed, it all became real. Space around Earth transformed. Giant robots made of starlight appeared, piloted by laughing children. Dragons formed from cosmic dust-breathed starfire. Entire video game worlds sprang to life, filled with power-ups and respawn points. The Mind Eaters encountered something they had never faced: pure imagination, powered by the Star Forge and backed by parental love. Sarah watched in amazement as her brother's hospital bed rose into the air, glowing with golden light. "The Empire uses fear and control," Jason said, his eyes shining like stars. But they forgot that every child knows the most powerful magic word. "Play," shouted millions of children's voices from the moon base to Earth's surface. The Mind Eater ship shuddered as waves of pure joy hit it. The parasites had evolved to feed on fear and pain. They had no defense against fun. Maria Torres, flying her love-powered ship, saw something incredible. The Mind Eaters weren't dying. They were transforming. Just like the Supreme Commander's ship, they were changing into something new, something wonderful. They were children once too, Zex 427 realized, watching the transformation. The Empire didn't create the Mind Eaters. They enslaved them, just like they enslaved everyone else. The massive parasite ship began to break apart, but not in destruction. Each piece became something from a child's dream. Floating islands, flying castles, space stations shaped like giant toys. The Empire fleet watched in confusion as their ultimate weapon turned into the universe's biggest playground. But the battle wasn't over. The Empire's millions of ships still surrounded Earth, ready to attack. Then Jason Chen smiled, and every screen on Earth lit up with the same message: Multiplayer mode activated. All players welcome. The Star Forge's golden energy spread through space, touching every ship, every weapon, every scared and angry heart. Empire soldiers found their ships transforming into game controllers. Weapons turned into toys. Battle plans became game rules. "You can fight us," Sarah broadcast to the Empire fleet, "or you can play with us. Your choice." One by one, Empire ships began to lower their weapons. Some crew members were already laughing, remembering what it was like to be young, to play, to imagine. But deep in the Empire's home system, the true Emperor watched with rage. If he couldn't control Earth's children, he would do something far worse. He would erase childhood itself. As his personal fleet of black hole ships emerged from the deepest purple portal yet, Earth faced its greatest challenge. Could imagination and love stand against someone who wanted to destroy the very idea of being young? The answer would change not just Earth, but the entire universe. Forever. The Emperor's black hole ships brought true darkness to space. Not just darkness you could see, darkness that ate dreams. As they approached Earth, children everywhere began to forget how to play. Adults started losing memories of their childhood. But Jason Chen, still floating in his golden hospital bed above Earth, saw something no one else could see. "The Emperor," he whispered, his eyes glowing with Star Forge energy. "He's not an adult at all. He's a child. The first child the Empire ever took. He's been a prisoner for 10,000 years." Sarah's fingers raced across her holographic keyboard, confirming her brother's vision. Deep in the stolen Empire files, she found the truth. The Emperor was once a boy named Tim, taken from Earth during humanity's Stone Age. The Empire had kept him alive for millennia, using machines to feed on his endless childhood nightmares. In space, the multiplayer game battle froze as the black hole ships approached. Even the transformed Mind Eaters, now playful creatures of light, trembled before this ancient darkness. Then Miguel, watching from the moon base, had an idea that only a child could have. If he's trapped in a nightmare, Miguel said, then we need to give him a better dream. The Starforge hummed as Miguel explained his plan. Around Earth, millions of children closed their eyes and did something extraordinary. They shared their favorite dreams. Happy dreams, silly dreams, dreams of flying, of talking to animals, of having superpowers. Maria Torres, still piloting her love-powered ship, saw golden streams of dreams flowing through space like rivers. Each stream carried laughter, hope, and the pure joy of being young. But the Emperor's black hole ships began absorbing these dreams, turning them into more darkness. It seemed hopeless, until Sarah Chen noticed something strange in her readings. The black holes, she said excitedly. They're not destroying the dreams. They're collecting them. All of them. Every dream from every child. Jason finished her thought. He's been waiting for this. Waiting for someone to remember him. To share dreams with him again. That's when Zex 427 revealed the final secret about the Starforge. It wasn't built by an ancient civilization, he said. It was built by Tim, by the boy who became the Emperor. He built it while dreaming, hoping someone would find it and wake him up. In the command center, Sarah suddenly jumped up. That's why it responds to children. That's why it turns weapons into toys. The Starforge isn't a weapon. It's a message in a bottle from a lonely kid. The black hole ships pressed closer to Earth. Inside the lead ship, protected by 10,000 years of nightmares, a small boy sat on a dark throne. Tim, the forgotten child, the Emperor who had forgotten how to dream. Then something amazing happened. Isabella, Maria's daughter, stepped forward on her mother's ship. She held up her favorite teddy bear, the one she'd kept hidden even during her time as a slave. "Would you like to play with my bear?" Her voice carried across all space channels. "My mom always says sharing makes the nightmares go away." The black hole ships stopped. For the first time in 10,000 years, Tim heard another child offering to simply play. The Starforge erupted with golden light as every child on Earth, on the moon base, and in the transformed Empire fleet focused on one thing, inviting Tim to play. Not fighting him. Not trying to beat him. Just asking him to join their game. Sarah watched in awe as the black hole ships began to change. Not like the other transformations. This was deeper. The darkness wasn't vanishing. It was remembering what it was like to be light. 10,000 years of nightmares, Jason said softly. That's a long time to play alone. The darkness around Tim's ship started swirling, mixing with the golden light of children's dreams. Inside, the ancient throne cracked. The machines that had kept him prisoner sparked and failed. But something was wrong. The Empire's emergency protocols activated. If they couldn't have their Emperor, they would rather destroy him and Earth completely. As massive purple destruction beams aimed at Earth, Tim opened his eyes for the first time in millennia. He looked at Isabella's teddy bear, still floating in space before his ship. He looked at Earth, glowing with the dreams of millions of children. He made his choice. The black holes turned inward, aiming at the Empire's dead man switch weapons. Tim's voice, young but carrying 10,000 years of power, spoke across all channels. "I want to play too." What happened next would be told in stories for generations. But first, Earth had to survive what Tim was about to unleash. All the power of 10,000 years of contained childhood, finally free. The final battle wasn't going to be between good and evil. It was going to be between those who wanted to cage childhood and those who wanted to set it free. And Tim, the oldest and youngest child in history, was about to show the universe what playtime really meant. 10,000 years of trapped childhood exploded from Tim's black hole ships, and the universe held its breath. The power could have destroyed everything. Instead, it became something else entirely, the biggest game of pretend ever played. Tim, the boy who had been forced to be emperor, raised his hands. Space itself became his playground. Stars rearranged themselves into giant connect-the-dots pictures. Nebulas turned into cosmic finger paintings. Planets began playing interstellar hide-and-seek. But the Empire's dead man switch weapons were still counting down, programmed to destroy Earth and everything around it. "Then we'll just have to win the game before time runs out," Sarah Chen said, her fingers dancing across holographic keys. "That's what gamers do, right?" Jason, still floating in his golden hospital bed, reached out with his mind toward Tim. Their thoughts connected through the Star Forge, two boys who understood what it meant to be trapped, one in a coma, one in an eternal nightmare. "Want to play co-op mode?" Jason asked. Tim's smile lit up every screen in the solar system. The greatest game in history began. The rules were simple. Save everything before the Empire's weapons fired. The players, every child in range of the Star Forge. The playground, the entire galaxy. Maria Torres watched in amazement as her ship transformed into a giant cosmic skateboard, with Isabella riding beside her. The transformed mind-eaters became flying pets, carrying children through space on adventures. Miguel and the moon base kids turned the entire moon into a giant game console, controlling reality like a video game. But the Empire had one final trick. Deep in their home system, a massive AI woke up, the real power behind the Empire. It had been the one controlling Tim all along, using his nightmares as fuel. Now it launched its own game, a virus designed to infect and corrupt imagination itself. That's when Sarah Chen realized why she had been able to hack the Empire's code so easily. "The AI," she said, eyes wide. "It's running on an ancient Earth operating system, one that every kid already knows how to beat." "CTRLALTDELET," shouted millions of children at once. The AI tried to resist, but it had never faced the combined power of Earth's children, the transformed mind-eaters, the Star Forge, and Tim, the child it had tried to cage for 10,000 years. As the AI struggled, Tim shared his first real memory in millennia. "I taught the first humans how to play games," he said. "Before the Empire took me, I invented tag and hide and seek and make-believe. That's why they wanted me. They thought controlling play would let them control everything." The countdown to Earth's destruction reached its final minutes. The AI launched waves of anti-imagination code. Reality itself began to glitch. Then Isabella did something completely unexpected. She threw her teddy bear into the heart of the AI's core system. "Even bad dreams need a hug sometimes," she said. The teddy bear, carried on waves of golden Star Forge energy, merged with the AI's core. 10,000 years of Tim's nightmares met the simple comfort of a child's toy. The AI, for the first time in its existence, learned what it meant to be hugged. Everything stopped. The weapons powered down. The virus dissolved. And in the space between seconds, the AI made a choice. "Game over," it said. And then, new game. The universe transformed one final time. The Empire's weapons became playgrounds. Their prisons turned into parks. Their slave factories transformed into schools where imagination was the most important subject. Tim, finally free, looked at Earth with tears in his eyes. Can I go home?" Sarah checked her readings and gasped. "You already are home," she said. "That valley where they took you, it's my family's hometown. You're my ancestor. The Star Forge recognized our DNA. That's why I could hack their codes." Jason reached out his hand across space. "Welcome back to the family." The final score appeared on every screen in the galaxy. Humanity. Empire. Jaime Ovier. Freiendschaft. Victory. Tlaytine. For Ever. But the biggest surprise came last. The AI, transformed by Isabella's teddy bear, revealed its own true nature. It hadn't been created by the Empire at all. It was Earth's first computer game, one Tim had dreamed up before being taken. The Empire had stolen and corrupted it, just like they had stolen him. Now it had one question. Shall we play a new game? One where everyone gets to be a player, where no one has to be alone. Maria Torres, holding Isabella close on their cosmic skateboard, looked at the transformed galaxy, at the children playing among the stars, at the mind-eaters teaching aliens how to dream, at Tim, finally looking his true age, ready to make up for 10,000 years of lost playtime. "You know what the best part of any game is?" she asked. Every child in the galaxy answered together, "EVERYONEGKTIS to play." And so the universe itself became the ultimate playground. The Star Forge, no longer needed as a distress signal, became a cosmic jungle gym. The black holes turned into the biggest slides ever made. Even the AI learned to play hopscotch with galaxies. Sarah Chen, looking at her screens one last time, smiled as she typed her final command. Save game. Childhood for EVR. Status. Playing. Players. All the DLC already. End. Never. Because the best games, like the best stories, don't really end. They just keep inviting new players to join in the fun. Want to play?